use it for content. So hi everybody, thank you so much for coming. My name is Maureen Kane, I run the LinkedIn Breakfast Club, and today we are going to talk about the 7 steps to selling on LinkedIn, or the 7 pillars of success, which is going to be my new training course, which I'm going to be launching next year. So I'm trying it out on you guys. You are the guinea pigs. So as most of you know, I do love Canva, so I have done slides in Canva. I'll try and move these lovely faces over here. So this is going to be live. It's not really prepared. I prepared the 7 topics, which I know in my head, but really I'm just going to be kind of diving into LinkedIn, which I'll put here and showing you. So if there is anything after each step, we'll kind of talk about it. Now, so who am I to know about LinkedIn? I mean, my background is sales and marketing. I left school at 15, started working sales. I was in telesales for 7 years. I ran a big team, about 70 telesales people. I went up and down the country training people how to sell. I became a sales trainer, and then I became a sales director. And probably for 15 years, I was a sales and marketing director, managing hundreds of people. And part of that was all about, and most of these companies were tech startups, pretty much no budget. And we had to work out, well, I had to work out the best way to get sales with the least amount of money. So LinkedIn has always, since it came out, I have, really clung on to it, because I thought this is a great tool for getting leads for the clients that I worked for then, because I was an employee, but obviously when I went in self-employed. And when I went self-employed, the first thing I actually did was actually, I was a sales and marketing consultant, because I didn't really know what I was going to do. And I actually helped people do LinkedIn. That was about 8-9 years ago. But I kind of moved into doing loads of things. But so LinkedIn has really adapted over the years. And even in the last 2 years, I think it's adapted loads. And I love it, obviously, as you probably know, just moving the thing. But it's a really great tool. It is free. Obviously, you can pay for loads of other things, but really understanding what to do and how to use it can take a lot of time. And to me, LinkedIn should be part of your job. I mean, if you think about lead generation, I'm not saying LinkedIn should be the only lead generation tool, but certainly one of them. You need to spend a certain amount of your week doing lead generation, whether that's online, offline, well, online this month, but certainly in lots of different ways. LinkedIn, for most of us, and it used to be just B2B, but now it's B2B and B2C. I've seen loads of success with B2C clients. You need to be spending some time on LinkedIn. I spend about probably 90 minutes, and I do cut out of that because it's easy, as you all probably know, to get sucked in and spend the whole day on it. But I really do cut it at 90 minutes. And some days I spend less than that, but that's enough for me. So really, let's dive in. So the first step, which is the most important one and the hardest one, is to have a clear message. This is something that I find that most people really struggle with. Well, just like I struggle with Zoom in this, but it's having a clear message really about what you do, who to. Really, if you don't have that right, to some degree, everything isn't going to fall into place. And I think a lot of people struggle with this because they do so many different things, they help so many different people, and they want to tell that to everybody. But reality is, if you try and do too much, people really struggle to understand what you do. They might think you might get loads of views in or without the Breakfast Club. They might love you, but it doesn't mean it's either going to buy from you. And this is something that, it is challenging if you do more than one thing, as I have found myself, because I did video and I did marketing, and it's taken me a long time to be able to do, say, Maureen Kane, video and LinkedIn marketing, but I'm there. So I do understand this takes time, but if you don't have this right, you are going to struggle to make sales on LinkedIn. So, I mean, and for individually, I could probably spend an hour with you on this, trying to work this out, but there is some key questions. And what does work on LinkedIn is being the most niche you can be. And anybody that I've had a one-to-one with, I've talked about niching down. And, it's something that I do myself, even though for LinkedIn and video marketing, I can technically help everybody. Trying to market yourself to everybody is very difficult. It's much easier to market yourself to a couple of different sectors. So we're in kind of the middle of November. So I would say to you guys, you know, figure out what you do, you know, in 30-second video. That's how I come up with it. 30-second pitch about what you do. Think about what you do, who you do it for. So who can you target in the next 3 to 6 months? Pick 3 sectors that you're going to target and stick to that. Now, that's really important for when you're connecting to people, but also when you're putting out content using hashtags. Hashtags, let's say you pick accountancy, construction, I'm making this up as I go, and property. But if you use hashtag property, hashtag construction, or relevant ones to those industry sectors, and you're also connecting to those people, and your content is relevant to those people, and your product is relevant to those people, it really is kind of giving you the full circle. Whereas if you're just putting out content that's quite generic, you're targeting business owners, which, you know, we all want to target, and you're using different hashtags every time, you're not going to get consistently be seen by the same people. And again, it takes, you know, loads of people say different things, but I say it takes 7 touches before somebody even gets to speak to you. So again, if you're constantly talking to different people like a butterfly, you're never really going to get that traction. So I would say pick 3 sectors for the next 3 to 6 months. After that, maybe change it to another sector if you can work with everybody. Or if you do work with a specific sector, you know, even within those sectors, there might be niches. So stick to them. Like, for example, you know, like Nicola, I know you're Nicole, so you work in construction, you might think I'm going to target architects, you know, interior designers, property developers, and that's the 3 target market you're going to do. Every single post you're doing, you're thinking about them, or at least most of your posts, or a couple a week, you're thinking about them, you're connecting to them, and you're also using those hashtags. And your product that you're talking about is maybe specific to them, even although you do loads of other things. You're maybe picking one flagship product. And again, this is the hardest thing to do because, but I was speaking to somebody yesterday, they said your gateway product. And I thought, what is a gateway product? But really that's your lead. I would class that as your lead generation, your door opener product. And again, if you want to get sales, which we all do in the next 3 months, you know, it's coming to Christmas time, it's coming to that dreaded, I'll talk to you next year. You know, we don't want to have those conversations yet. So we want to, you know, the next 6 weeks, we want to be marketing ourselves to either A, get sales this year, or B, get the pipeline filled up for January. So doing this now will really help you do that. Pick one flagship product, maybe even if it's not the best value, something that you can have a get in the door with, something that people will talk to you about, and something that, you know, once you're on a call, of course, you can talk to them about other stuff, but really it's getting yourself known as, you know, Rich, the energy guy, or sorry, the communications guy, or Digest, the CRM guy, you know, just getting yourself known for doing one thing, even although you do loads of different things, it's getting yourself known for one thing in that market. Because if you're constantly trending, if you're constantly posting about it, connecting, it's easy for people to suss it, that's what you are. And they might speak to you about other things, but you know, that's the key thing. So what do you do for that market? Who is your target market? And by that, niching down. So what's the job title? What's the sector? And what's the location? And again, let's assume it's UK. The sector might be, you know, construction. The job titles might be directors. So again, when you're connecting to those people, that's who you're connecting to, and you've already written that down. The flagship product, of course, should be relevant to that market. That's something that you can, you know, potentially talk about in your posts. You can put on your profile, you can put in your banner, but there's really going to be something that's going to spark conversations, that's going to help get your foot in the door, and, you know, getting that message nailed down. And again, this is the hardest part, is what's the benefits of working with you? What value do they bring? But again, for that specific product to that market, maybe create a brochure in Canva or something like that as well, or whatever content you got, get a couple of pieces of content that you can send to people. And that's kind of, you got your clear marketing strategy and your LinkedIn strategy to some degree sorted. That's the hardest thing to do. But as I said, if you invest a bit of time in that, it really will pay off. Let me just see if I've got on a slide on that. So anybody got any questions on that? That's the first step. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. We can get a thumbs up if that makes sense. Anybody get any questions on that? Does it make sense? Nope. Okay. And again, if anybody wants, I mean, again, this is probably a whole session, but if anybody wants to run this past me, more than happy to. And I mean, November, like most of us, I probably will have a little bit of extra time. So I'm willing to take that time and go through that with you, even if you just want to bounce it off me. So this links into, once you've got that nailed down, step 2 really is quite simple. It's summarizing what you do in no more than 7 words and putting it on your banner, your profile, your headline. Go to me. So really it's keeping it simple so that when people look at you, they can see what you do straight away. So again, now I say 7 words because anytime you comment, anytime you post content, anytime you connect, somebody's got their volume up. Anytime you connect, they see this. So if you put about 25 lines or 4 lines, which is, people aren't really going to see it. So it's kind of like the best sales training I ever had. Somebody said to me, save the best to don't leave your best bit to the end. Say the best thing first, because people might never get to see you. So put this really short, sharp and concise about what you do. I change this probably every month. Again, if I'm running a campaign, let's say I'm doing construction this month, I might change that to be something specific. This month specifically, I'm targeting B2C and B2B people both. So I want to make sure that's clear, because a lot of B2C people think, oh, and LinkedIn's not for me. But just have a look at this and don't be scared to change it. And again, just make sure on your banner somewhere it's got what you do. You've got a picture, which I think everybody's got one, but this is short and sweet. Don't try and say too much, because again, once you get to speak to somebody, you can talk to them all about it, but to connect to them and for them to see your post, they're going to see this. So that is absolutely key. And that's step number 2, something that's really, really simple. Just make sure it's all over the place. So step number 3. Now this, again, I've done loads of different training sessions about content. If anybody wants the actual training courses about ideas for content, I can send you them. We've done them in the group before. But ultimately, the key thing is not to try to sell. So on a post, the purpose of a post is to spark a conversation. It's to really get people to know, like, and trust you over a period of time. And again, by showcasing, yes, about what you do, and again, using the hashtags that are relevant to the sector you've agreed with yourself. And also, you know, posting value, posting tips to that sector. And actually, if you're creating content and you've got a specific sector in mind, actually becomes easier. So again, I had a one-to-one with Rich Williams, who's on the phone, and I thought he talked about, you know, on a Monday he was going to write, I'm going to make this up, you're going to write about, you know, success stories. On a Tuesday, you're going to write about human stories, about being a dad. On a Wednesday, you talked about, you're going to write about adding value. On a Thursday, you're going to post about, you know, something else. So again, if you were doing that specifically with a target market in mind, it makes it easier. And certainly I think, yes, you know, doing a human post a week, like being a dad, being a mom, that kind of thing is great, because again, the thing about LinkedIn, which has changed dramatically, yes, it's a professional business platform, but people do buy from people. It's really great to show a personality. It's great to show, you know, passion about what you do, whether that's in work or out of work. But I think having, you know, a kind of a structure in place that you're going to talk about these things every week makes it easy for yourself, because there's nothing worse than waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning thinking, what am I going to write about today? You know, if you have a little bit of a plan, as I said, on Monday, it's going to be this, you can still wake up at 6, but you're going to know what you're going to write about. And, you know, I've just got some tips here. Do mix the styles. Now, styles, I mean, different styles of posts. So just go to my posts. Keep changing the way LinkedIn looks. So just go to my posts. So I post lots of visual posts. Obviously, that's what I do for a living. So GIFs are great. This was created in Canva, literally in 3 seconds. Kid you not. And so GIFs do really well right now. Document posts. This was one from this morning. Also created in Canva, but it could be a Word document. It's just quite simple to put together. And again, there's a couple of courses on the Breakfast Club group of how to create a document post. This is a static image, which I don't really use. Static images do the worst. And a lot of people in the group default is just stick a picture up there. These actually do the worst for views. They do really badly. I mean, I only really use these if I'm doing stuff in the LinkedIn Breakfast Club group, because they just bomb in terms of views completely. So I would stay away from doing static image posts a lot. I mean, maybe once a week, but you're better off just doing a text only post, to be honest. GIFs again, text only. So, I mean, I think just by changing it, that helps by, because some people are visual learners, some people like to read text. So you want to attract different people, but also you want to make sure the reason why you should mix it up is for the LinkedIn algorithm. The LinkedIn algorithm does want you to vary content. The LinkedIn algorithm wants you to attract people and wants them to follow you. So these are the things you get rewarded for by the LinkedIn algorithm. And if the LinkedIn algorithm rewards you, they show your content to more people. So mixing the styles, adding some visuals at least once a week. Talk about what you do. Again, a big mistake a lot of people do is post about everything but what they do. And again, I mean, it's having a balance about, yes, talking about what you do, yes, talking about being human, and not doing too much of one or the other. I think you need to talk about both, because if you do all business, I do this every single day, it just gets boring for people in the group, and it gets boring for people who are following you, and they probably will actually stop following you. So try and mix it up a bit. Provide value. Don't be scared to give away tips, because again, as I said before, the more you actually will give away, the more people will pay for you. And engage in comments. This is something I see a lot of people not doing. Again, LinkedIn want you to keep people on the platform. The more you do, the more they will send you love back. So let's say you do a post this morning, people responding, try and go back in even later on that day and respond to some of the comments, tag them back, reply, get some conversations going. LinkedIn will then show it to more people. Don't just post constantly about your product to sell it. Do it once a week, once a fortnight. Don't just use Canva images, because LinkedIn for some reason can tell, and they downgrade the level of views. And if you do just post constantly, this is my product, buy from me, the LinkedIn market is spam. And what will happen is, even though you'll get some engagement through the Breakfast Club, after an hour or two, the post will die. You probably won't, after 12 o'clock, you probably, or even after 11 o'clock, you will not get any more views. LinkedIn will mark it as spam. And within the first hour or two, which is why we focus on engagement, then LinkedIn will assess your post. They'll assess it in terms of context. Is it positive? Is it negative? What kind of hashtag has it got? The structure of it, which is why I keep going on about the structure. A good headline can make a huge difference. So all of these things you get points for. Nobody really knows exactly how they do it, but we know they do it. And also in terms of how spammy it is in terms of LinkedIn. Now, spam, what LinkedIn thinks is spam is either, just something irrelevant, unprofessional, but also something that's too salesy. That's why the most random posts about anything but your product do the best. But again, it's good to mix up. And don't just obviously post from your company page, because it doesn't really grow the same way that personal posts do. It only shows your post to people who follow it. And ultimately, you need to try, if you're doing content and it doesn't excite you, how is it going to excite anybody else? People, you need to cut your passion for what you do needs to come across. And again, I think a lot of people that I've spoke to, and nobody here, that aren't being successful on LinkedIn, after a one-to-one with them, I think you don't want to be doing what you're doing. You can tell they're just not liking what they're doing. They're not enjoying it. And if you're not passionate about what you're doing, how can you expect other people to be passionate and want to work with you? And that is, is something you can't really teach somebody. You need to be passionate at what you do, and that needs to come across. And if you're good on in front of the camera, certainly go in front of the video and do some little short 30 seconds to 1 minute videos. They work really well in terms of getting people to know, like, and trust you. But the posting, is absolutely key. If you don't post, you're not going to gain that credibility, which I'll talk about in a moment. Anybody get any questions about posting? I know that's something we could probably talk about. Right. Yeah.
Maureen, can I ask a question about the company page post?
Yeah.
What if I create a post on my company page and then I share it from my own personal account? Does that make a difference?
Doesn't really. I mean, ultimately people will see it, but it's still going to bomb. So it's not going to do well. I mean, again, it's never to say never. I mean, you still could post 1 post a week in your company page post, even share it in the Breakfast Club. And it will go, obviously it will go through our networks, but it's not, for some reason, it'll just stop there. And if you share a company post, like you said, Sean, for whatever reason, the algorithm knows it, and again, it won't do very well either. Some people will see it, so I'm not saying never do it, but it's not going to do brilliantly, to be honest. That's why I always say tag your company page in. That's better, and I definitely get about 20 followers a week from doing that, tagging it in. But, you know, at some point, I think LinkedIn will change the way company pages work, and that's why it's worthwhile sticking content on there once a week. But right now, it's, you know, they don't really do much. Any other questions on the posting? Nope. Cool. We will move on. Say hello to my son who's just in from school. We're so happy schools are just still open.
Hello. Sorry, could I ask one quick question just about...
Yes, Kelly. Our newest member. Hi, Kelly.
Yes, yeah, just today. I had a quick question about videos, actually, because we try to do a selection of posts, text, just imagery, and we've got videos as well that we post out on LinkedIn. Do videos do better, around the same? What's the mix?
Good question. And obviously my day job is, we maybe don't know, is creating videos. Videos in terms of views, again, the algorithm varies all the time. Right now, in terms of views, videos and articles are actually measured differently. So they will appear, they do a lot less. So video views and article views, it's the number of people, the times that people have actually clicked on them, versus views of everything else is the number of times it's been seen in the feed. So videos and articles are actually really the truest form of views. But videos, I'd say, do okay for views. They don't do brilliantly right now, but what they are really good for is engagement. So you do seem to get, I mean, if I post a video, you will get, I normally quite often get really good engagement. I'll get people messaging me, I'll get leads from it. So, but what I do, and depends how long the video is, I'll create a video, then I'll convert it to a GIF, because GIFs are converting better at the moment. But I would still post videos because they are really good for showcasing what you do. They're great for engagement. And, you know, it's not all about views. And I think that's key. It is about doing different things to get people to see it, especially if you've got a visual product. You know, using videos and GIFs is a great way to get people on board. And it definitely, I mean, if you've got a really great visual product, I mean, you need to show lots of different ways. And photographs, as much as I said static images, photographs work really well as well right now. Personal photographs, they're doing quite well. But again, you know, you just need to try different things and mix it up.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cheers. So again, step number 4, I think everybody here is a member of the Breakfast Club. But, you know, number 1, the reason for joining the Breakfast Club is obviously to get your post seen by more people, but it's also great for credibility. If you're saying you're an award-winning coach and you put up a post and nobody's liking and commenting, doesn't quite add up to me. So, I mean, I always see LinkedIn experts and they've not got any engagement. I think, really, how good are you? And so, again, by posting within the Breakfast Club, you know, you're going to get that credibility, and people will start seeing you more and more in the feed. I've had so many messages throughout the last year or two saying, who is this person that I keep seeing in my LinkedIn feed? And it's always somebody in the Breakfast Club, because people keep seeing them to the point that it becomes, you know, they're just seeing you all the time, which again, if you're constantly posting around different ways about what you do and the value you bring and tips, you know, over a period of time, it's a bit like a queue. In lockdown, they've started already. Went out to the bakers this morning, had to queue up. And, you know, last lockdown, the bakers I went to this morning, last lockdown, there was a queue. I walked around for my daily walk. There was a queue outside of Bakers in West London, and I joined that queue. Kid you not, I was up at the same Bakers today. I am now a loyal customer of that bakery. I never even knew about it until I seen somebody queuing. So the credibility, if people see you getting lots of love, they want to join that queue. So it's a great way to keep posting in the club, because that does make people want to work with you. You look like you're a good, trusted supplier. I think that speaks for itself. Step 5. Now, this is so key, because I think some people, we've all had people that annoyingly message us and try and sell to us, which is really annoying. I get them every day. They've never done a post. I look at the post, they've never posted, never do anything. So I think connecting to people is key. So I would say send between 500 to 1,000 invites a month. Now you can do that manually, or you can talk to me or talk to somebody else about doing that for you. But that is absolutely key to build up your target market, and sending those invites to the right job title, the right location, the right industry sector, plus posting. That really comes together. Doing one or the other. A lot of people just post, they don't connect, or they connect and don't post. It doesn't quite add up. If you're connecting, posting, plus the credibility, those are the three things, even though I've got 7 steps, but those are the 3 things that to me bring the sales in. And you know, the reason why I love LinkedIn for sales is ultimately, even though I've got a background in sales, I don't want to be cold calling people. I have not cold called somebody for 5 years. I put my stuff out there and people come to me. That's the way I like it. Not because I'm lazy. I'm not comfortable doing a cold call. I'm just not. And I know lots of people might argue, and if there's any sales trainers on here, but I want people to come to me, and I know this method works for me. And I'm now working with about 20 other people doing the exact same thing, putting out content of value, connecting to 500 to 1,000 people, plus getting the credibility from the club. These things, you know, the 3 of them work together, plus having the right message, you know, and everything else, and making sure your profile. These things really make a difference. And again, as a salesperson, as I said, you know, even though I don't want to have that cold call, you need to follow up. So sending the invites out, but then sending a short, non-salesy is key. And short, I should highlight that as well, a short, because I go to town and people message me. I could open up my LinkedIn Messenger right now. Somebody sent me a message. It was like 3 pages long, and he'd sent me 5 or 6 of the exact same message in the last month. And I just said, bejesus. I said, you need to, and I sent him a link to the training course. He didn't come on. But sending a short, I'd say a couple of lines message. I mean, my message is something along the lines of, thanks for connecting. How's your week going? And again, I might say something about how's your November, what are you doing through lockdown to keep you busy? Here's a link to what I do. If you want to get in touch, let's speak. That's it, short and sweet. Now, if you've got a video, that's great. That could be one you've done yourself, one you paid for. Even if you don't, it could be a brochure, it could be a website, or it could be a link to Calendly. I'd say Calendly, you know, I vary. I've tried Calendly, I've tried a website, I've tried a video, and normally I will vary every couple of weeks just to max out. Now, if I don't send them another 3rd message, I just send them this message. And from that, I probably get at least 1 to 2 leads a week just from doing this. Plus, a lot of these people have seen my content, because when you connect to new people, LinkedIn typically show your stuff to new people. So again, you're constantly building up that funnel. And again, this link should be relevant. If you're connecting to construction people, don't send them a link to something about somebody else. Try and make that relevant, that message, to those people. And again, if you've got a plan and for the next of November, you're only going to connect to this specific sector, it's quite easy then not to think, well, who am I connecting to this day? If you stick to 3 sectors, or even 2, or even 1, it's quite easy. I mean, does that make sense about the follow-up message? And if you're not doing step 5 and 6, it is a game changer. I'm just telling you now. I mean, connecting to people, that amount of people a month, it's basically, you know, constantly filling your sales funnel. And step 7, we're going so quickly. This, again, I could speak about a whole training session about. Make your sales process be online. Again, through lockdown, a lot of people have realized all of a sudden that they need to have their sales process, their product, whatever you want to call it. I call it make your product clickable, but it needs to be online, your sales process. We're so used to the likes of Amazon, click to buy, click to book. That's the world we live in. So if your product, your services needs to be in that world. Otherwise, again, you can connect to people, you can get them interested, but if you're just saying to them, oh, do you want to have a call? I'm not saying you won't get any, but again, if they've got a link to book, a link to buy, or a link to view, they're more likely to do that. And that's just, trying to speak to somebody. Zoom, I probably had more Zoom meetings, but before that, some customers I never speak to ever. they will click to buy. They'll click, I've got an online form they fill in, click to fill in the online form, click to pay. So again, click, make it click, click, click. I mean, the more you can make your sales process online and kind of tailored for LinkedIn, it will help you. So again, if you don't have a sign up form, MailChimp, you can do one for free. It's quite easy. I could probably show people how to do that in another training course. You can get a little picture, you can get a sign up form, you can even get a link then to, so that could be one way sign up to my mailing list, which is a bit boring, but here's a link to my video, here's a link to my product, here's a link to book a meeting. So making sure that every step of your sales process is clickable. And that could be just here, go and sign up on my website. That could be it. But again, you don't want them, because what I see quite often, and I do it myself, I'll look at a post and I think that looks great, that looks brilliant, but then I'll forget about it. I won't click to buy because there's nothing there. There's nothing there to click. But if there had been a link there, which is also why I say sometimes do put a link in the post, as much as don't be too salesy. If once a week or once every fortnight you do put a link to your product in, or a link to book, you know, LinkedIn will probably rate your product, your post a little bit lower, but you know, you're still going to get people clicking. And I've tried that myself. I did a training course before, which is quite funny because it was on how to productize your product, and it was $17.99, and I put the actual link to a PayPal product. You can actually create a product in PayPal in 2 seconds, or in Calendly. So you can use Calendly actually. If you offer a service that's a one-to-one, you can basically set up a product in Calendly, and you can link that to PayPal or something else. So again, that could be your link to buy. You can also set up a product in PayPal, and again, it takes 2 seconds. I think it's called social products. So you can easily set up a clickable product. And I posted, it was actually the link to PayPal was the actual thing I posted. I got 45 people buying that. So I thought, if you can't, and that was all how to productize your product. So you can sell directly on LinkedIn. Obviously that was a $17.99 product. If you're selling something at $2,000, you're not going to, but what you can do is at every stage of that sales process, making sure that it's online, because otherwise you might lose people. Any questions on that? I mean, this again is a whole thing, but if you've got, and it would be different for every single person. If you're talking about, you know, you want to help save people money on their energy bills or the telco bills, that's great. But what's the next sales action? What do you want them to do? How do they buy from you? And is there a link to click to that to get to that next sales action? That next sales action might be just to speak to you, which is great. So if you're doing posts 3 or 4 times a week about talking about the value you bring, you're talking about customers who bought from you, you're talking about your backstory, and then you do a post or you do a message and you've got a link to the next sales action, which could be a meeting in Calendly, or it could be to sign up for a free, you know, lead magnet, which is a 2-page guide on how they can save money. You know, they're more likely to click to do that. Whereas if you just say get in touch to book, they might think, yeah, I want to, but they will forget about it 2 days later. And then you post again 3 days later and they'll think, yeah, well, and maybe after the 10th time they've seen you post, they might then message you. But if you had a link, they would have probably got in touch straight away. Because again, the psychology of buying, when somebody talks to you, they're probably really excited to buy. It's a bit like if you have a Zoom call, same thing. If you have a Zoom call with somebody, you think, great, I've got a meeting, got a lead, you have a Zoom call, you don't follow up with them for a week, or you don't send them a link to click to do something. They probably, if they don't buy within that first week, it's going to be quite difficult to close them down. Whereas really after that call, you want to say, right, I'm going to send you now the link to book, click to pay, and that's it. If you leave it longer, it just kind of fizzles away. So try and get your sales process so it's all online, that process from when they first connect to you to they see your post, think about and kind of write down what that journey is, and make sure every step you've kind of got a link for them to click, a link to pay. And even if the end one is, I mean, ideally, I think link to invoice, but if you don't have that, that's the final. It's easy to get that. But I think if you've got them to agree to pay, you know, if they have to get a paper invoice, that's fine. And that pretty much is it. I mean, any questions on this last one, which again is a huge one?
I've got a question from the slide before, which was, is it better to get connections or get people to follow you?
Well, and that's really what I'm talking about. Well, I've done both. And when a lot of people say, a lot of the LinkedIn experts say, get people to follow you. I tried that for about 3 months. And to be honest, I got less people following me. So, and also when you follow people, when people follow, you can't message them. So if you can change it on LinkedIn so they first automatically connect or they can follow you. Once I get to 30,000, I will change mine to follow. But right now I want to connect because it's easy to message them. If you follow, you can't message them as easily. That's a lot of people say they'll get them to follow you, but they still see your content, but you can't message them. And a lot of sales does go on LinkedIn Messenger, I think, personally. That's a personal opinion. I don't know if anybody else has got any things, but I have seen a lot of people on LinkedIn saying get them to follow you. But I mean, I think connect, because then you can engage in the Messenger with them.
Cool.
Maureen, just in terms of where do you put, so a HubSpot calendar link, where do you put that link? Is it in the post, or does LinkedIn not like that?
I would have it everywhere. I would have it on my profile. I would have it on my banner. I would have it on when I message somebody. So the second follow-up, that would be on some of them. So I would probably say, I would have a link to either here's a link to book a meeting, or here's a link to my video, or here's a link to my website. But I'd put the calendar link also probably once a week in my posts. And LinkedIn will downgrade your view numbers a little bit, but not loads. I mean, they used to really kill posts if there's links. Your post probably won't go viral if it's got a link, but it might not go viral if it's not got a link. So, I mean, I would put a link once a week in. Like, for example, John Galloway, I'd have your link to sign up to your Aspire 25 once a week. Absolutely. Get it in there. I mean, and especially if it is, you know, if you're asking for somebody to click to pay £1,000, but if you're asking somebody to book a meeting with you, I wouldn't put it in every post, but once a week. Absolutely. I would do it and see what, I mean, but also have it on your profile. I mean, I normally do a link to a video, but this month I have changed my follow-up message to a link to Calendly, and I've had 3 meetings booked this month. I think November is a great time. So I've kind of said in my follow-up message, November, I've got a little bit more time. If you want to have a one-to-one, let's chat. And I've had 3 meetings booked this week already from my follow-up meeting. So again, November might be a good time to say, come on, let's have, you don't want loads of time wasters, but obviously, you know, it's Calendly is a good source when it works properly. And again, I mean, Calendly, I mean, a lot of people use Calendly. So, I mean, I think just be aware that it is something people use a lot, but then again, we're all familiar with it. So it's easy to book. So absolutely. And if you're charging your time, let's say you're having an hour session with somebody and you're actually getting paid for it, you can, you know, I would be using Calendly to get them to book. I mean, I've got a couple of strategy things on my Calendly and people need to pay before they book. So I'll be like, well, yeah, you can book here. Here's the link. And when you click to book, it's asking for money straight away. So if you're doing coaching or something like that, you could use it for that. So again, you're not getting any time wasters, which, you know, none of us want.
Right.
Any other questions?
The last one, sorry, as you were just talking through that, converting videos to GIFs, Maureen, how do you do it?
Oh, Jesus. Now, there's loads of different ways you can do that. So the easiest way, I mean, I've probably got about 7 or 8 video things I use. So, but the easiest and free one you can use is Capwing. Capwing, I'll show you right now. I mean, there's so many different ones, but Capwing is quite easy. I'll just show you right now. I've probably got loads of things. And stories, I mean, stories, anybody's watching, I've been doing loads of stories. So LinkedIn story, Canva for LinkedIn stories is, Canva, you can do it. But Canva, the problem with Canva is the file size is so big. But if, for example, you've got a video, I think if I've got a video on my file, let's see what I've got. If you've got a video, this is so easy to use. I'm sure I've got a video. That's a vid. There. This is a client video. So there we go. All you need to do is, I won't do the whole thing, but this is a normal setting. You could add things to this. You could add loads of things to this, but go to settings. GIF. Now this is going to be too long, but then you just export GIF. There you go. The training session is worth it just for this. So easy, and that will then export the GIF. But a GIF, if you're going to do it, the key thing is the file size. It's got to be like a 10-second GIF or 10-second video. But for example, I mean, GIFs are working really well on LinkedIn right now. In Canva, that you can easily create a GIF in Canva. But again, make it really short because the file size can be so big.
Right.
But again, I mean, GIFs are just a bit more fun. I think they're, you know, they're so, and they just, what I love about GIFs is just keep playing. So if they're on, if you're somebody sat on your feed, they just keep playing. I mean, I get messages quite a lot from quite senior people saying they love my GIFs. And to be honest, it's something I've not really sold. I keep thinking about doing a gift pack, but it's a pain in the ass. But I mean, I do get people commenting all the time on my GIFs. So I think, to me, I think I keep doing them. So GIFs do really work well. And again, if you can get something that's going to make your product, because a lot of people will just do, I mean, I like the normal GIFs you get on Google. Obviously, I use them every day on WhatsApp. But I think if it's your own GIFs, of course, that's going to help brand you rather than just using some random one of, you know, somebody doing something. But even you could even create your own funny GIFs. If you had a video of you doing some funny action, record it, then upload it to Capwing, save it as a GIF, and it'll just keep you repeating doing something crazy. And you would be amazed, something like that probably would do really well on LinkedIn. Might not get you any business though, but you might get a few followers. But, and again, it's one of these things, I think if you want to try and get loads of views, it's quite easy. You can talk about every bad experience in your life. But again, that might not be really what you want to do to get business. So for me, I always think there's a fine line. I do try and keep my posts 99% or 95% business related because I'm here for the business. If you're there just for fun, which I don't think any of us are, yeah, talk about everything but what you do. But I think if you're here for business, I would do like maybe 3, if you're doing 4 posts a week, do 3 about business, 1 about fun, personal stuff. And that's kind of giving you a bit of a balance. Any other questions or anything? Was that worthwhile? Did anybody learn anything? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Welcome any feedback. I said it was very ad hoc, but thank you so much for coming. I'm going to probably slice and dice this a little bit, cut out any other bits that I was talking rubbish. And thank you so much. Let's have a great November, get some sales, get some leads and keep going. That's all we can do. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks, Appreciate it. Very good.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.